Eric and Angela Chaya, it is good to see you both. It's almost exactly a year since we filmed. I was looking at a picture of my son Clay, who helped me film that with a fellow named Danny, and it's almost exactly a year since we filmed it. So that's Camp Amp, and we edited it pretty quickly in our world because usually so many things are happening that we can't get to every short film quickly. But we had that done by the fall. And then we screened it at the Farmer Veterans Coalition. What's happened for you guys? Has that film done anything for you? Has it been beneficial? Because that's why we made it. We wanted it to help.
Yeah, it has done a lot. I mean, I probably get 3 or 4 phone calls a week from people who live either nearby a base or they just want to say, I've been thinking about this for the last 20 years as I drive by this huge, massive installation. And I've always thought how incredible it would be if someone could manage that, if someone could do something that would help the training areas, that would cut costs, and what an opportunity that would be. So yes, we've gotten a lot of interest. And then as I get to engage with senior leaders, that's often a really great way to say, we call them RAs or read-aheads, is that I send to them and I go, hey, take a look at this. This does a really good job of not only showing why we think it's important, but also you hear from the garrison commander here. You hear it from someone who's getting to watch this, he's not out there moving the cows. He's just appreciating the effect that they have. So it's been extremely helpful tool for us out here for sure.
Yeah, I think every email that we send, it's kind of in the footer.
Hyperlinked.
Check out this video about what we're doing out here. So it's just a really good visual. You did a great job, Peter, and your team of kind of a visual representation of what we're doing out here in a digestible format.
Glad you said team. It is a team, and thank you. And that makes me feel really good because this was sort of the most kind of proactive short film that I've made. Like I really, really wanted this to help get more people to know about what you all are doing so that you could scale up. What's happening on the farm right now? This is just a check-in. We were on the team meeting a couple weeks ago. We're like, let's find out what's going on. And so what's happening on the base? I said the farm, which is the ranch, which is the base. What's happening there right now? How are things progressing? Is anything not progressing? How's it going over this last year since we filmed?
I think the one thing that really sticks out to me is listening to Mark. So Mark's been here for 20 years.
The rancher who has the lease.
He's been here for 20 years. He'll be the first to tell you he was very skeptical of this approach. He's like, go ahead. These cows, these aren't 4-H cows. They're not going to just look at that wire and obey it. These cows have to be able to pick up and move, and they're pretty rangy. And I mean, just seeing the herd transform, seeing the landscape transform. I was driving this morning. I was dropping off a 4-wheeler to the guys, and I was riding with someone who's been here on the base, throughout his career, over 20 years. And he was like, the amount of wildlife I am seeing out here is incredible.
Oh, wow.
And so we were in an area that was just grazed, and we're coming up over the hill. I'm like, I'm willing to bet some money there's a handful of turkeys over there. And sure enough, there's turkeys scratching around in the spot where they're at. And there's always been turkeys here. That's anyone who's trained at Camp SLO knows there's been turkeys, but the concentration is what's been impressive, is that they know that there's something going on. There's some type of management that's happening here where they're concentrating. There's a buffet. And so those were all really exciting things. And you did a good job with Danny and Clay, like visualizing, showing people what it looks like. What has been really exciting for us is the incorporation of veterans or folks who are in the Skillbridge.
Yeah, let's define Skillbridge. Let's talk about who you've got there, because that's a big change. I think it's just grown since we were there.
Yeah, so Skillbridge is, anywhere from 60 to 180 days, the last 60 to 180 days of someone's military service. And so in that 60 to 180 day period, the military lets them go and, train out in the real world, whatever that might be. That could be, working in an office suite, or it could be something like this, getting hands-on experience with livestock and specifically regenerative grazing. And so kind of bringing in veterans to learn or soon to be veterans to learn alongside us. I think many of the folks that have been out here have little to no previous agriculture experience. And so, they'll come in just kind of interested, or they like the area and want to spend some time in San Luis Obispo, California. But they leave with this passion for agriculture. And so that's been really exciting and rewarding to see just that transformation of people coming through the program.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that there's like 160,000 service members that leave the service every year. And I know when I sat on a team, and in our free time, we'd talk about, life after the Army. And we often would talk about, man, I just want a piece of land. I want to be out there. I want to be out there with their animals, and I want to be managing. But where do you start? Like, land access is staring us all in the face. Huge. I mean, the cost of cattle right now is huge. And so it's often a really daunting transition. We bring them in and you get immersive experience on a base, day in and day out. I mean, on Saturday, they were working calves. We did, we were ear tagging, we were branding, we were castrating, and they're doing it. We're not talking about like theoretically, here's how you would do it. They're in the chutes, they're sorting cattle, they're doing it. So it's extremely immersive. And plus, they're moving the cows every day too, and they get to learn how to work with nature, not against it. And that means a lot of things. And for us, it's the terrain often, as you saw, and it's like visualized in Camp Amp. This is not a flat football field or track. This is some very, very daunting terrain. So how do you work with it? So that's been like, I think what fires me up and gets me excited every day is going out there and learning with them. And there's things that we've learned over time that it's not wisdom. It's more like scar tissue. They don't have to necessarily learn the hard way like we did. Although we do know that is a pretty good teacher. So they do every once in a while, the reel comes back looking like, a rat's nest. And we're like, hey, that's a great experience. You're probably not going to do that again because you're going to be the one fixing it. You're going to be the one who, is, on the wing of moving this herd of 140 pairs. So it's very, very hands-on.
Yeah, and I think, along with the Skillbridge folks that we've had out here, we started, I think the first one came in July. We had a Marine join us, and then it's kind of just continued to grow since then. But we've also partnered with an organization called the Land at Home Project, and they send veterans, so fully separated individuals. They have a 160-hour internship where they can send folks out here to learn alongside us for 160 hours. And so that's been really, really beneficial to, allow the veteran population to enter in and learn alongside us as well.
So what was really important for us is that, and I mean, this would resonate with you, Peter, and this is what we learned from you. This is why the reason why we're doing it, the reason why we're working with Dr. Jonathan Lundgren is because of Roots So Deep. We're like, wow, this is so incredible. Let's get the science behind it. So we had ecdysis come out and do a baseline measurement, pounded in soil probes for, we're looking at soil organic matter, above ground biomass. They're doing bug sweeps. They're doing microbial populations. There's ornithologists out there counting birds. There's a survey that myself and Mark, the rancher, fills out to get like the economics of this. We record some of our practices, and they do, 20 some sites out here in the central coast of California that all feed into their 1,000 Farms initiative, which, just like your interview with Dr. Lundgren talks about, I mean, they're well beyond the 1,000. That was the mark, and they've gone over. And so they've come out here. This was year 2. So they did baseline before you guys got here to fill Camp Amp, and they just left last week. And so that's really neat because we get to see this interaction with scientists who are here to measure. And then, just like you guys say, with the on the ground scientists, we have another Eric out here. He's retiring, C-17, which is a big aircraft. He's an aircraft mechanic, retiring after 20 years. And he's explaining the unique context that we call the hospitality herd. So we have the smaller herd of 20 cows that we move around the base, and they help the landscaping crew out. And Eric is explaining their context, and he's talking to one of the scientists, Dr. Ryan Schmidt, and he says, here's how we use them, here's how we move them, these are the effects we're looking for. This is, the more we move them, the more, this is what increased stock density looks like. He's talking out of hands-on experience because he's the one who's been moving these cows for the last 3 weeks. Since his day one, they show up, and I'm like, all right, guys, here's kind of the concept of our operation, but we're about to go do a detailed scheme maneuver. We're going to get hands-on right now.
Yeah, the scientist who's been studying this stuff, Ryan was on Roots So Deep back in 2018, was asking someone, so what was this like a year ago? Because he just sounded like someone who would have known what it was like a year ago, and he'd only been there 3 weeks. That's very cool. That says a lot about the whole project. What's happening on the land? You guys have had not very much rain this year, if I'm correct, right?
Well, I think the number of inches we have exceeds last year, but it's like we got all of our rain in 2 significant downpours. And so...
did it soak in? Did it wash away? What happened?
We think it soaked in.
Yeah. It did a whole lot better. I think that's the one thing that Mark and I have talked about is like a big change we've noticed is less bare ground.
Right.
So we don't have the height that I'm wanting yet.
Of the forage?
Right. The height of the forage isn't quite there yet. But what we're seeing is there's far less bare ground.
Got it.
And I think taking the bare ground a step further, obviously we have like the mat that after the cattle go through that they lay down and covering the soil. But one thing that I've just been amazed at every time I'm out there and looking at the paddock that we're going to move into is the decreased spacing between the plants that are growing.
So the forage is denser.
Right, yeah.
Got it.
I'm just like shocked every time I go out there and I look at it. I'm like, I just cannot get over how closer spaced these plants are than last year. And so that's cool to see. And again, it's also, Mark the rancher has been in this area environment for his whole life. And so to get his feedback on, the amount of forage that we have out there compared to, what the neighbors have or what we should have based off of the rain patterns this year. He's just amazed with how much forage we still have. I think we're supposed to get another shot of rain this week, which will be really exciting if that actually comes. But then we're really done with rain until, November, December timeframe. And so the amount of forage that we have to get us through the dormant season, I think we're sitting pretty well.
Yeah, and it wasn't just, it was like the 2 quick rainstorms, and then we had an uncharacteristic heat wave.
That's right, yeah.
So everything really dried out really fast, and which made a lot of people nervous, and a lot of people were moving cows to the sale barn, whereas we were able to hold our numbers because we're looking ahead of what we still have to graze yet, and we're like, we still have. And what we're seeing is the one other thing we talk about with the guys a lot out here, because these are all spokesmen of regenerative grazing, while they're here and forever, like they're doing it. So that they're not just like, hey, I read this book about regenerative grazing and it's a really good idea, or I saw Roots So Deep and this is the way to go. They're like, I'm doing it, so I see it. And so the important fact is like the cows are not taking things, they're restoring the area. We say the cow moves with the rainforest in its belly, so we're seeing these areas that the cows have grazed and they're walking irrigation, so they're not just there to extract things. So we're seeing areas where the cows have grazed, we've had no rain, we've had high heat, and we're seeing increased growth behind the cows, which is cool to see. Like, it's green, it's beautiful, it looks like it got a shot of rain. And really all that happened was high stock density grazing, and then left to rest.
Tell me about the scaling up. Like, you're on Camp San Luis Obispo. You've talked about, I believe, Camp Roberts up the road. Is it happening there yet? And you've also talked about, I believe, in Georgia. So what's happening on getting AMP grazing on different military installations in the U.S.?
We're looking at specifically, it's a 5-year expansion project, 5 installations, continuing our work at Camp San Luis Obispo, expanding to Camp Roberts, and then also potentially in this area, Fort Hunter Liggett, and then interest from Fort Benning in Georgia, and then kind of continued discussions on what our 5th installation would look like, kind of pending interest from different installation leaders.
Right. Yeah. We're not putting the 5 bases written in stone. The saying, it's easier to pull a string than push one. So we want to find an installation that really wants to do this. Fort Benning is one of them. Fort Benning does want to implement regenerative grazing because they have some really challenging areas that they can't burn, that the mowers can't keep up with, that they're frankly just assuming risk that they don't cause an issue for not only installation, but the surrounding area. So they really think that there is a good amount of land where someone who, again, has gone through the proper training, has been quality assurance, quality control, vetted essentially, who could go there and implement this type of management. So Camp AMP, Benning version. We also are very, very close to expanding to Camp Roberts. We are 1 week out from completing all the environmental compliance in order to graze there, as well as working on the legal jujitsu. That's where we're at with right now, is figuring out what the piece of paper looks like that says, the Naval Postgraduate School's project can expand. We're very close. I mean, we're 45 minutes north of us. We have a great relationship with the Naval Postgraduate School in Camp Roberts. Frankly, it's really just a matter of time. And then, yes, that place, I got to talk to Major General Smiley, who is the commander of the California National Guard. And, they do some massive burns out there. It's a 43,000 acre base. Wow. And some of the burns they do are upwards of 8,000 acres.
It's got to be so dangerous.
People come there and train. Cal Fire does some training there. But he admits he doesn't sleep very well those nights.
I bet.
Those are, as controlled burns are controlled until they're not. And it's a great tool. But just maybe not every year. And so we were with Ecdysis and we were pounding in soil probes. And I'm like, boy, I would love someone who is an advocate for burning every year to come pound in some soil probes, because my hands are bleeding. And so it was like we got to pound in soil probes in an area that's not burned every year, right across the street from a place that is burned very regularly. And it's a very different feeling. And so he thought it'd be an incredible opportunity to implement some of this grazing just to remove fuel load, not to mention all the other suite of benefits that it unlocks.
Yep.
And then, as I mentioned, he got to meet a couple of the veterans who were out there. And, it's just helpful to see the face, to go, these are the guys. We're not asking someone who doesn't understand military training, who doesn't understand that the mission of these bases is to train. We're not here to change that. We're here to just make training better. We want the unit to bring whatever they want to bring and be able to use it. And then as soon as they leave, because we have healthy soil, these areas repair. These areas can continue to function. And so someone else can come and train without this big lull of, hey, we got to bring in, hydro seeders, and we got to bring in hay wattles, and this area needs to now rest. And because someone drove some vehicles through there.
Yeah, no, it's enhancement all the way across the board. And for the people. That's what I love. It's enhancement for the land, enhancement for the people who've served our country. We want to make it an easy way to get out of the service and get into the next step. It's such a win-win-win, as your base commander says in Camp AMP. Well, let's just stay in touch. And thanks for letting us check in with you all. And oh, one last thing. How about if it's talkable, what's happening with Arizona State University? My school.
Yeah.
The Arizona State.
Yeah, the Arizona State University.
Oh, no, we're not of the. We don't do that. We don't do that. That's Ohio State. We don't do that.
So one of the things, I guess we didn't really touch on this yet, is we've established a nonprofit that specifically focuses on training transitioning service members and veterans in regenerative grazing, kind of similar to the work that we're already doing.
And that nonprofit's called Boots to Roots?
Boots to Roots, correct.
Love it.
And so we received a grant in collaboration with the local Ag Land Trust called the Ag Land Trust. And so with that, we'll be able to establish our home base for our veteran training, home base off a base. And so that will also allow us to bring in dedicated trainers who will really invest in the individuals that we have out here learning alongside us, and expand the footprint of the area that they're able to be trained on. And so with that, we've been working with Arizona State University to establish a credential, or we're calling it a micro-credential, so that the folks who come through our program, number one, can get a baseline of knowledge before they arrive here, and get credential for that, but also for their time here on site with us. And so they leave here with a certificate or credential, outlining what they've received from us here. And just as they go out, onto other farms and ranches, being able to have this and as proof of their experience with us, we feel like will be really beneficial.
Nice.
Yeah, and we use a lot of, some of the Carbon Cowboys already content that's out there, and just making it part of what they're learning as we continue to immerse them.
Yep.
They get a lot of experience here on this base. We take them to other farms and ranches in the area, but they'll get to experience, the Birdwell and Clark. They'll get to experience other places than just here on a unique base.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. And that is all part of the expansion. It's all part of the growth, all part of making sure this goes across the country. Well, Eric and Angela, thank you very much for stopping your busy day to talk. And I'm sure our friends in social media world will be very happy to hear that things are progressing and expanding. And more power to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having us. Thanks for taking time to do this little update with us. And it's good. It's good that people know we're not, we like to say stagnant water stinks. And so we're still moving and the water is flowing. We're ready to go. Let your friends know that if they're separating, if they're a veteran and they want to come do this hands-on experience, we're here to help, and we want more and more people to learn. We just think this is the best way to do it, best way to learn.
And is there a website that they can reach out to?
Yes. So www.boots2roots, all spelled out, no numbers, .org is our website where people can sign up to join us.
Boots2roots.org. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks, Peter.